And that's
It's Popo's place.
and that's
Grandpa's place.
abuela and abuelo is grandma and grandpa in Spanish.
Oh,
And I see that would be hard for someone. Let's see.
so every day I've had something, and I'm very, very tired today.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad today is, but I had Bob today. Monday I have Rosalie that I see once a year on my birthday.
Uh-huh.
I met Rosalie when we both had left mastectomies.
Oh, good.
And we've been bonded. We bonded because we both had lefties.
Uh-huh.
And the next day is Karen.
Oh my.
That's next to Monday is Rosalie. Tuesday is Karen. That is Tyke's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I'm done.
Well, that's how we feel. Rachel, we had to be on, even though we weren't entertaining her the whole time. We had her in our house for 8 days. 7 or 8 days.
I couldn't take it.
No, it exhausted us. And we wanted to...
I cried this morning. I'm so tired.
Yeah, oh my. Well, we won't draw this out. I just need a little strip, but I thought you would really appreciate some of this large family history.
I do. I will. I love just sitting here listening to you.
Mm-hmm. But it'll spring some memories as well.
Oh, do it.
Okay. So first of all, to set up for the sample video, say what your name is, what your birth name is, a little bit about where you were born, and a little bit about you. Your name is?
Loretta Pemberton. But I came from the South. I was born in Tampa, Florida. And when somebody asked me my name, I'd say, my name is Loretta Pemberton, and I was born and reared in Tampa, Florida.
So back then it was Aretta.
Loretta Pemberton.
Not Loretta. So I'll tell you a little bit about this. So you know Denny Large, born 1889?
Denny, Grandpa,
Is that your grandpa?
he called me Flutie Hobbs.
What?
He'd laugh and he'd rub my head. He said, Flutie, how are you? Flutie Hobbs.
Flutie Hobbs. And
I don't know what that meant.
I don't know. His parents was William Large and Viola Harper.
Viola? That's where Aunt Viola got her name, Aunt Vi.
Well, Aunt Viola, that was your...
That was my aunt.
Denny was your uncle?
That was my mom's sister.
So that's where she got her name.
Mm-hmm.
But Viola Harper was your great aunt, because it was Denny's mother.
Whoa.
And she was born in Lawrence County, Ohio.
Wow.
And Williams Large was Solomon N. Large, born in Louisiana, and Sarah Jane Wade, born in Tennessee.
Wow.
And Viola's parents was Nicholas Harper, born in West Virginia, and Melvina Francis, born in Lawrence, Ohio.
My, those names.
Uh-huh. And then going back to the 1700s, Robert Large and Lucy Tarsha Lodge was Solomon Large's parents. Sarah Jane Wade's parents was David Wade and Celia Heron. Nicholas Harper was Jacob Harper and Lydia Civey, C-I-V-E-Y. That ring a bell?
Is there any Brammers in there?
Oh, don't know yet. Melvina's parents was Emmanuel Francis and Marianne Mobley.
Mary Ann Mobley, isn't that a famous person?
Well, she was born in the 1800s, so
Mary Ann Mobley.
might be, but that name's familiar.
It sure is.
And then let's see what else we have here. Robert Large. And Robert Large goes back to the Nancy Furbush and William Large. And 1760, as far back as they go. That was before the United States was a country.
Where'd you get all this?
From Denny Large's great-grandson.
He's into genealogy.
He found my website and he sent me this whole packet.
Oh, for gosh sakes.
And then let's see if I see some other names. The Lightners, Pinninger,
Henninger.
Elizabeth Pinninger and Nicholas Harper. Elizabeth Pinninger was born in Germany and then came over to Pendleton, West Virginia in 1800s. And then we have Harper, born in Niederweller, and Anna Elizabeth Kaufmann, born in Wurch, Rhein-Hunsrück-Kreis, Rhineland-Pfalz, Germany.
Whoa. A lot of Germans.
And that would be on, let's see, here's Harry, Jacob. Where's
Robert.
Jacob? The Germans on your mother's side. Or no, just all the way down to the Viola Harper side.
Oh my gosh.
Then you have the Ida Bell Nunley.
Ida Bell.
Born in
Grandma.
1894. Was that your grandma?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one in the 5-generation picture?
Grandma Large.
Really? Where did
That
she
was
come
my
from?
mom's mom. Ida Bell Nunley and my mother were pregnant at the same time.
Ida Bell Nunley Large.
And Mom had me and Ida Bell had Viola.
Oh, wow.
So my Aunt Vi is my mom's sister. That we were born the same time. Aunt Vi, I just talked to Aunt Vi last year.
Uh-huh.
We're the same age.
So that must be who, because I sent this guy a video. Remember you and I made the video chat recording? I sent that to him and he played it for whoever it was on his side. He played it. She was thrilled to hear your voice.
Aunt Vi.
Uh-huh. And let's see. So Ida Bell's parents was John Nunley and Rebecca Jenkins.
Familiar?
Hartwell Nunley, Susanna Leitner. And that's as far back as we go. So all the rest of the pages are individual pages about the people.
About people.
So Denny Large was born in 1889.
Grandpa Large.
Had
Ida Bell's husband.
He had a brother, William H. Large Jr. Mamie Large was his sister. Death of his mother, Viola Harper, was in 1905. His father must have got remarried because the birth of his half-brother, Robert Large, and his half-sister, Georgia Marie Harmon.
Bob, this is the best present you could have given me.
I thought you would like this.
Wonderful present. Wonderful memories. I can see them. Mm-hmm.
Birth of daughter Ella Large. Birth of his son Edgar Large.
Uncle Ed.
Birth of daughter Cora Elizabeth Large And Ida June Large.
Ida June, I never. Oh, Aunt Junie died of alcoholism at a very young age.
They didn't know what it could do back then. And here's some handwritten notes from the guy that sent me this. Robert, the relationship shown is to me. You need to add one generation for, I think it says young. Robert, your webpage says Sarah and John Darnell were divorced. They were never divorced. Edgar, my father, did not get gassed in the war. Your webpage says he was never quite right after that. That's not true. He's just fine. Yeah, that's the type of thing. I've already removed it from the website, and that won't be on the recordings. So when I mix down these recordings, it's going to be whitewashed. It's only going to be the good news. And even that thing about dying of alcoholism, I don't know if that needs to be part of the history.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Yes or no?
I don't think so. Aunt Junie was, of all the aunts, well, she was the most fun. Of course, she was tipsy half the time, but she was beautiful.
Uh-huh.
And she was in love with a married man, and she would say, "Would you take this to John?" That was the married guy.
Uh-huh.
And I'd have to take little notes.
Just wasn't done back then, was it?
Huh?
It wasn't done back then, so you had to be sneaky,
You
but
had to be real sneaky, yeah.
but you can't put paperwork on love.
So she had a daughter named Penny Sue, and I think Penny Sue was probably that guy's daughter. But I'm not sure, because it looked like her.
She has a page in here. We'll see what the page says.
Huh?
She has a page in here.
Penny Sue.
Well, I don't know.
Penny Sue Williams. Daughter of Buck Williams.
Oh, but I remember you talking about Buck. Here's a page for Ida Bell Nunley.
Oh, tell me.
She was born September 6, 1894 in Boyd, Kentucky.
And I was always told she was an Indian. She was part Indian.
Interesting. Maybe way, way back.
Mm-hmm.
Had a sister, Sarah J. Nunley. Mary Nunley. At age 6, she moved from Kentucky up to Milton Township in Jackson, Ohio. She got married August 29th, 1910 in Ohio to Denny Larch.
Does it say Denny? It doesn't say that Denny was hurt. His arm was run over by a train.
No. Amputated?
No, it was just really damaged. So all our life, when we would see Grandpa Large, we would see him go like this, and he would have spasms in his arms, and he would always be going like this.
From the nerve damage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
But he was a very quiet man, and he loved his grandchildren. I was the first grandchild, and he called me Miss Flutie Hobbs.
Flutie Hobbs. I might research that and find out where that comes from. If I find out, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then you tell me what happened when Ida Bell Nunley was 18 years old on June 6th, 1913. Birth of daughter Aliva.
June 6th.
1913. Born in Ohio.
Oh, see, I don't even know my mom's birthday anymore. June 6th. June 6th. 19 what?
1913.
1913, Mom. Oh my gosh.
Let's see. Birth of daughter Sarah May Large. Cora Elizabeth Large. Ella Large. Edgar Large. Boy, they had a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Cora Elizabeth Large. Ida June Large. That's it.
That was Aunt Junie.
That was your Aunt June. Oh, more. Viola Large.
That was Aunt Vi, same age as me. What was her birthday?
Viola. March 29th, 1931.
March 29th, 1931.
Uh-huh.
And I was March 13th, 1932.
So you were 2 weeks older than her. Oh, good.
2 weeks older than my aunt.
Oh, my.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see who we have now. John Allen Nunley.
Don't know him.
Okay. We won't read about the ones that you know. I'll put them on the website, but let's see. This was, here's Hartwell Nunley. This guy's grandfather served in the 11th Kentucky Infantry in the Union during the Civil War.
Robert. Isn't that wonderful?
This is great. And I asked him, I said, can I pay you for this? He said, no, this is my contribution.
Would you tell him how thrilled I am?
Oh yeah, I will. I've just enjoyed.
Tell him it was my birthday and it was the best birthday present I could have given my mother.
Oh, cool. I will. See, William H. Large is his grandfather. Come on, papers. My fingers don't work very well anymore. Viola Harper. This is my grandpa Denny's mother. Oh,
so my Aunt Vi was named after Grandpa's mother.
Yes, after this old Viola.
Wow. See, that is kind of interesting family I didn't know about.
And here's Solomon Large. He served in the Ohio 6th Cavalry during the Civil War. That's Denny's grandfather. Wow,
There's some old soldiers back then.
Here you go. This will give you thought about, you said, I hope to just have 3 more years left. Well, here's Sarah Jane Wade. This is in your family history. You have this flowing in your blood. She was born in 1787 and died in 1904 at 117 years old.
Oh, God, please.
But that's what I mean. 83 is 85. How old are you?
86.
That's just a number. It doesn't mean anything.
No.
117, my God. I don't know if I want to live that long. Let's see.
Grandma Large was almost 100.
Yeah.
Ida Bell. When did she die?
Ida Bell. Let's see if I can find Ida Bell again. Let me move this. I'm afraid my papers are getting in the way.
Ida died. Ida Large. I want to see how old she was. And 'cause my two sisters always say, oh, you're gonna live as long as Grandma Large.
Uh-huh.
They say I look like Grandma Large as I get older, but I don't think so.
So Ida Bell Nunley.
But I might, to them.
87 plus 6. Ida Bell Nunley lived to be 93 years old.
I was going to say, she was almost 100.
Wow.
She lived to be 93 years old. And she had Parkinson's. And I told you the story. I said, Grandma, when I visited her at 93, Grandma, do you remember me? 3 kids. She couldn't talk. 3 kids. And I said, yeah, I had 3 kids. She said, Bobby. Bobby.
She knew me.
She knew you. She remembered Bobby. I said, Bobby? Yeah. Brenda and Steve. And she said, yeah.
Let's see, Robert Large may have died at Anderson POW camp during the Civil War.
Oh my gosh.
William Large, Nancy Furbush, Nicholas Harper. Tell me if any of these names sound familiar. Jacob Harper, Linda Civey, Henry Harper, Elizabeth Leitner. That name struck a bell. Elizabeth Leitner. Her father served in the Revolution, but was fined 50 shillings for bad-mouthing the newly formed Continental Congress. Oh my. It's in the blood. Let's see. Nicholas Harper. Elizabeth Pinninger. William Leitner.
I'd like to know that old guy that badmouthed the Continental Congress.
And that's the end of it.
Political stuff way back then. Oh, goodness sakes.
So,
I want you to look at this eye and tell me if it's red.
yes, it's puffy right here. Did you bang it?
No, but it's burning.
Tip your head back just a bit.
The other one's fine.
Yeah, but I'm comparing the two. It's a little bit more bloodshot than the other. Oh, you have tears. Do you have any medicated?
I just been putting Tears 2 in it.
Okay. That's probably...
It's done that before for some reason. I don't know why.
No, keep a lot of tears in there.
Okay. Bob. Robert, I just am just fascinated.
Isn't this stuff great?
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. What a present. Oh, I'll write that in my diary.
Oh, good.
See, you'll have all my diaries.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to when I was in high school.
Wow.
Before high school.
Wow. That's worthy of a book. My life as a Southern Belle.
No, I wasn't a Southern Belle. I say, who wants a swing? This swing is not for niggas. They beat the breath out of me.
Hey, pass me the ball, Loretta.
And the teacher at Silver Street School said, Loretta, I want to talk to you after school. Loretta, this is the North. We don't say that word here.
Well, bet you didn't say it again after you got the tar
I
beat.
never said it again. The slang is not for niggas.
So let's
I
see.
didn't know any better. Nobody taught me.
No. So you were the first child. And your father... This is all the large side, and that's your mother's side. So your father's side was Pemberton's. Did you have any Pemberton
Stories.
memories?
The only thing I can remember was Martha, and my mother had, her first child was not me. It was a baby that lived 2 days, and her name was Martha. But, you know, it was like almost a miscarriage, but I don't know for sure.
It's like a pancake. The first one gets thrown out and the second one's perfect.
Yeah. And then, well, Martha Pemberton was my dad's mom, and Charles was his father, and he died young, very young. And my dad was raised by Julius, his brother, and Julius was not very nice to my dad. Would whip him a lot. This is what my dad would say. And Julius stayed with us a week when we lived on Lee Street. Then my dad went to work in the mines when he was very young, like 11. In the mines in Kentucky. So he never really finished school, but my dad was really smart. He had a way, I mean, he could build houses, he did construction, but he had a way of his own math. He figured his own math. In his head, he would build things.
Wow. So what are the ages of the siblings? Martha, Loretta.
And then Victor. And then Nina. All three of us were born in Tampa. Loretta, Victor, and Nina. But her real name was Inez, because my dad those were Cuban names. Areta, Victor, and Inez. And my dad worked around Cuban people. In fact, I was named after a Cuban girlfriend.
Oh, neat.
And my dad was around her.
Uh-huh.
And then was Edgar, and then Ella. Did I leave out anybody?
Hazel.
Oh yeah. After we came back, after Nina is Hazel.
And then Edgar and Ella. Okay.
It could have been the other way around. I don't remember if Hazel was first. I'll have to ask Hazel.
I remember Edgar punching the camera because he was about 8 and Hazel was older.
Oh, I think Hazel was, she was older.
So I was going to play those family videos that I have for Rachel, and it just never got around to it.
It's funny, but older people really think that is boring stuff, and when you get to be our age, you start wondering about the history of the people in your life. I wonder about you and Bradley. And of course I don't know them, but I wonder about them. And then I don't know, the only Joneses I know are Cody and Sarah, really. A
Yeah.
little bit of Stevie, but that's it.
PJ has turned into quite a, not a complex man, but quite functional.
PJ he is and he didn't used to be.
No, he almost couldn't talk till like 4 years old. So tell a little bit about you and Dad in high school.
Are you recording?
Mm-hmm. So don't say anything X-rated. Plus you'd give your poor son a heart attack.
Oh. And about my dad?
No, about you and Dan.
Me and my husband?
Yeah.
Well, I think you know that my dad was not a very good dad because he drank too much, and when he was angry, he was not very good to his kids. He would whip us at the drop of a hat.
He loved you, but he would whip you because that's just who he was.
But he did love us. He did loving things. Would bring things home for us, and but what can I say? He was a complex guy, and he really not having an education, he really never held a good job. So I remember he worked for something called the WPA during the Depression, Workmen's Project Association, WPA.
But he found work.
But he found work building bridges for the government.
Half the country didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm. But he did find work, and we always had we never went hungry. He always made sure we had food. And
Where did you go to school? Marion Harding?
I started school at Grand Prairie. Well, after I came back from Florida, I went to Silver Street School in the first grade. Mm-hmm. And then we moved to, my dad worked as a tenant farmer for Harry Francis, and I went to Grand Prairie School up until the 9th grade when I ran away from home. And I worked my way through 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And I was, this is kind of emotional for me, Bob. I worked my way through high school by doing everything I could do to make money. Sometimes I would only have a couple dollars, and that would have to last me all week. And I would go into a store. I have to tell this about myself. I was in school at Harding High School, and I would go into a store and I would spend 14 cents on a loaf of bread and steal a hunk of cheese. And I kept the bread and cheese in my school locker. Mm-hmm. So I could eat when there were times when I didn't have any money, or maybe I had $1 or $2, but I had to save it for the next time I needed bread.
Yeah.
And then in the 10th grade, I worked at a teen center. The teachers at Harding High School knew about me and that I was working my way through school. And so in the 10th grade, I got a job after school working at a teen center called Club Co-ed. And at that time, I was behind the candy and Coke counter. And you had the Coke, it was metal and it was filled with ice, chunks of ice, and you had to put your hands down in the cold water to get a Coke if one of the kids at school wanted to buy a Coke, which was only 10 cents. But then a really nice guy started hanging around the Coke counter. His name was Dan Andrews. And he said, "It's cold down there. Let me get the Coke for you." So he reached down in the cold water and get the Coke for me so I didn't have to put my hands down there. And he did that for several more times. And then one day I said, he became very friendly and really was kind of shy, but then we started talking. And then one day I said, "Aren't you ever going to walk me home?" And he says, "Yes." He said, "My friend is Howard Ballinger. My friend is going to walk Judy Schill home." And because I was living with Judy Schill, that was just one place where I lived. And so he did walk me home. And several nights he walked me home. And then one time I said, "Are you ever going to kiss me goodnight?" And he did. And I sure loved him.
And he was this big gang guy.
Yes, he was in a gang. It was supposed to be a gang called the Dukes, but he was not a bad guy. It was just that there were 7 of them that grew up together as kids, and they all stuck together in high school. They were called the Dukes, but they were all good guys. All turned out good. Nobody had landed in jail. And so...
Now, was Dad's first job Eaton, Whirlpool, or Marion Power Shovel?
His first job was working in a greenhouse. When we were dating, he worked at a greenhouse. I don't know what he did there, but that's what he did in high school. And then after we were married, he worked somehow on the railroad, painting creosote on railroad ties. And he would come home smelling like creosote. It was the worst smell, and it would get in his hair. And after we were married, I remember he had creosote in his hair, and he shaved his head so I wouldn't have to smell that creosote. He was bald.
Typical Andrews.
Shaved his head. And so we went down to Miami University, and I worked for the director of admissions, Harry Gerlach. I had a good job because I had learned shorthand and typing in high school, so I had a good job. at Miami U in Oxford, Ohio. And all my friends down there were having babies, and I love babies. Just loved them. I don't know. I guess I grew up taking care of all my brothers and sisters, but I wanted my own baby. So way back then, this is a personal story, but I did it. And back then, I left out my diaphragm that was supposed to keep you from getting pregnant. And I got pregnant with Brenda.
So the old family lore that I was the planned one and Brenda and Steve were the accidents, that's not true. Brenda was kind of planned too.
Yes, she was planned. Definitely planned. And so then I had Brenda, and she was 2 weeks old, and Dad left for Germany.
Oh my.
And so it was just Brenda and I for almost 2 years, 18 months. And then Dad came home from Germany, and Brenda screamed and screamed because this guy was in the house. And she used to sleep with me. And so now she was in a crib. And this guy was with me. And she would scream and scream until finally he became the light of her life. And she and her dad were buddies. And so we had a good life, and Dad worked at Whirlpool. That was his first job. And the way he got into drafting was Whirlpool, there was a union that wanted Whirlpool to go on strike. So Dad's job at Whirlpool, I'm getting ahead of my story, was counting the parts as they came down an assembly line. It was his job just to sit up there and count points, count parts. And in between a part coming, he would be drawing anti-union literature and passing it out because he was not a union follower. And the head of the Whirlpool company, who happened to be a Christian Scientist, saw these posters and asked for, he said, I would like to interview Dan Andrews that's drawing these posters. And so Dan went in for an interview, and he said, Dan, you have a talent there for drawing. How would you like to be a draftsman? And Dad says, does it pay more than a tally clerk? And the guy said yes, and Dan said, yeah, I'll be a draftsman. And so he learned drafting.
Oh, good.
And that's how he became a draftsman, which was the beginning of a great career for him, a good career. And then he left Whirlpool. I think he went to Marion Metal. Then I forget. Eaton, did he work at Eaton?
He either did directly or he was one of their customers, because didn't I used to do their, isn't that who I figured the casting weights for?
No, you really figured the casting weights for Marion Metal. And that's an interesting connection, because John, remember John? The gal he married, it was her father that owned Marion Metal.
Weird.
Isn't that weird? So, I really forget where I'm at now.
Well, you just had Brenda, and then you had me.
Oh, yeah, Dan says he wants a son. And I was a cigarette smoker, and I got, when I got pregnant with Brenda, I couldn't stand to smoke, and I couldn't stand to smell it. And so when Dan came back from Germany, he said he wanted a son. I was talking to Aunt Virginia one day, and I said, oh, I got that same feeling when I lit a cigarette. Of course, every time the phone rang, you'd reach for a cigarette. Mm-hmm. And I was pregnant with Bob, sure enough. And Bob was just a few months old, and the telephone rang. It was Aunt Virginia, and I reached for a cigarette, and I said, oh no. I got the funny feeling, that same nauseous feeling I get when I'm pregnant. I said, Aunt Virginia, could I be pregnant? Because I'm nursing. You can't get pregnant when you're nursing.
That's actually where one of Brenda's babies came from. She was nursing, and she said, remember she nursed for like 2 or 3 years, thinking that would keep her from getting pregnant, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So there came Steve, and Bob and Steve Dan was so proud of those 2 boys. His brothers never had 2 boys, but Dan outdid his brothers. He had 2 boys. And they were so close together that they looked like twins, and I dressed them like twins. And I used to take them with me when I'd go to the store, and everybody would say, oh, aren't they cute? Are they twins? And I'd say, yes. I was so proud of them. And then a funny story about those 2 boys. I had them in the bathtub together when we lived on Center Street, and I had finished scrubbing Bob. He was nice and clean. I hadn't had time to dress him yet, so I took him out of the tub, dried him off, set him down, and started scrubbing Steve. And as I was cleaning Steve, the doorbell rang, and some guy with a motorcycle helmet was holding this little nude boy and said, does this belong to you? And it was my Bobby. Nude, he had walked outside, and it was in the street. And this.
Well, that's Center Street.
Yes, Center Street. Thank you, God.
Oh my.
He was okay, but the guy brought him to my door, and I said, oh yes, he belongs to me. But it was hard raising 2 little boys so close together, because they'd get in trouble together. But
and especially one that was precocious.
oh yes, I had one very precocious, and the other one was kind of a laid-back kind of guy. But they were mine, and they were fun. Then they grew up. I was playing the guitar one day, and I think it was Steve said, Mom, how do you do that? And I showed him a couple guitar chords, and within a couple months he passed me by. And then Bob started playing bass, and then I sent him to Erickson's for guitar lessons, and then I had somebody come in, gave him vocal lessons. And we tried piano lessons, but they didn't like that. And then we moved to Forest Hill Drive. Brenda was married by then. unfortunately, to a weird Jehovah's Witness. And anyway, the boys' band seemed to be very successful. They were playing pool parties and gigs. I remember one funny story. Bob was wearing a retainer, and he had set the retainer down on an amplifier at a party they were playing, and the dog chewed his retainer, and the people bought it, paid for a new retainer. Do you remember that, Robert?
I don't.
Uh-huh. The dog ate his, chewed it up.
I do remember I had to take it off to sing because I lisped with it.
Yeah. You don't remember that not having it for a couple of weeks?
Cindy, I like to sing harmonies better than melodies. And I was singing along, we were driving, I was singing the harmony, and Cynthia said, "Where did you ever learn to sing harmony?" I said, "I don't know, I just know." I said, you know what? Mom made us practice without our guitars. So where did we learn it? Probably from her.
Yeah. You always sang. And then when we had microphones, I made you sing. It seemed like you were afraid of microphones. And I said, don't ever be afraid of microphones. Put your mouth right on the microphone. You need to hear your own voice. You need to hear how you sound. So you and Steve would put your mouth right on the microphone, and I'd say, now, eat that phone, eat that microphone. And I made you sing. Don't be afraid. Just sing.
And that's back in the days before they had grounding issues were a problem. So remember, I kept one string long on my bass guitar. I cut off the other three and keep one long because I would touch it on the microphone. Because at one point I went up there to sing and I went, whoa!
I didn't know that.
I got the biggest shock.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I always held up my guitar and touched the thing, because if it was the wrong polarity, it may get a spark this big.
Oh, I would have remembered that, and I would never have asked you to do it again. But.
Well, it only had to happen once.
Yeah.
And I was.
But I remember Bob was I think his voice was just changing. And he says, I'm 16 and I don't know what I want. And I thought, oh my gosh, you don't even know what you're talking about, Robert. But he would sing like he knew.
I've been looking for a woman.
And he'd sing, I've been looking for a woman to ease my life. And I thought, oh my gosh. But that was the popular song. I was so proud of those guys. And so was Dad. He'd always go to they'd have like Battle of the Bands. And so that was our life for several years, sitting in a bar listening to the boys. And they were too young to sing in a bar, but they were good enough that they did it.
I told Cindy this story about when little Eric played the key room and started playing Gold Rush.
Yeah. And then I used to, since I knew quite a few musicians, I would invite them over to critique the boys and to give them hints. So they would come down in the basement, the local musicians of the day, the older musicians, and they would critique what the boys were doing. And so they lived music for several years. So somebody asked Dan, well, Dan, do you play an instrument? And he said, nope, I just pay the bills and buy the equipment. And Dad was proud of him. But then he was proud of Brenda too, and her horse. They had quarter horses, and we have movies of Brenda. We took her to the rodeos and different activities and with her horse. And I remember I had never heard this phrase, but when she was riding in a parade, she said, Dad, I want you. Hello. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, what are you doing?
Well, right now, I gotta run over to my dad. And if you're gonna be home in a few minutes, I'll throw your jello.
Oh, you made Jello, and you're going to bring it over. And I cleaned up all the gum, so I'm okay. Yes, I got it done. Okay, Linda, come on over. You'll be surprised at what I'm doing. Come over.
All right, I'll be there in a few minutes.
All right, bye.
Bye.
She made me some Jello.
So you were saying Brenda was in the quarter horse races?
Yes, she was in races. Well, one time I have movies of her running a barrel, and it was wonderful, those movies. I love to see those movies. But one time she was in a parade through the town of Marion, like the 4th of July parade, and she said, Dad, run along beside me in case Irish lets down. And I thought, what does that mean, let down? Bob, do you know what that means?
Never heard of it.
Somehow a male horse, if he gets the scent of a female horse that's right in front of him, his penis lets down long enough almost to touch the ground.
I've seen that.
And she said, she did not want any of her girlfriends to laugh and make fun of her. So Dan would have to, in case Irish let down, Dan would have to kick him in the side so it would go back up. That was a funny parade story.
Oh my, oh my.
You've never heard that story?
I never have. That is a great story. I'm gonna get a chair for her to join us for the last part of the video.
Oh, okay.
And that's basically a little telling of your life here. Actually, I'll let her sit in this chair. I'll sit over here. Make sure that my telephone is off now when I think of it. And my telephone's still in the car, so much for that.
This is Linda when we went to Coco's.
Oh, okay.
And so is it off yet?
No, not yet. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Have her sit in the chair when she comes in. Well, I was gonna sit there. I was going to sit in your walker. Is that okay?
Oh, I thought you'd bring us to.
Oh, okay. That would be more comfortable, wouldn't
I
it?
didn't take my pills. Oh, no, I didn't.
Is she driving over or does she live next door?
No, she's driving over. Her dad, the 95-year-old, lives right straight across.
Oh, okay.
She still checks on him. Well, I'll tell you why I'm limping, is I have been gone every day this week and I reused my knee. And so you can see it's swollen.
It's swollen, yeah.
Uh-huh. But I've been putting ice on it, so it'll go down, hopefully. I keep hoping. I don't want to go through surgery
Yeah.
if I don't have to.
So what's your favorite memory of your entire life?
My favorite memory is bringing all 3 of our children to Arizona. One of my favorites is stepping off the plane for the first time into Arizona and seeing the sky so blue. I've never seen such blue sky, because Ohio skies are gray. But the next memory is bringing them all one by one. There's a picture of me in the scrapbook that I made, and I'm praying, God, please bring our children to Arizona. And he did.
And I don't want to go back.
So
That was a good call.
that was my favorite memory. And then they stayed with us for a while until we got them all settled in their own life. And so we got to see them grow up and settle. A lot of seniors, they move away and their families, they never see their families, but we saw our families grow up and have a career. And I guess they're all happy. I'm sure they are.
I know a story that I like that I haven't heard yet. Tell me about your little theater days.
Oh, that was
I love that story.
Oh, well, I joined a little theater group, and I started out just working props, and then I started getting little parts. I was in Brigadoon, and then what else? What was that?
The Odd Couple's the one I remember.
Oh, The Odd Couple. Oh yeah, I was in The Odd Couple, and I played the part of
One of the Pigeon Sisters.
one of the Pigeon Sisters, and they were kind of street ladies, and one of the Pigeon Sisters said it was hot. It was hot today, and I said, oh, you know what I do when it's so hot? I just open the fridge and take off my blouse, and it makes me very cool. That is the secret of keeping cool when it's so hot here. And everybody laughed in the audience, and
then you said, can you imagine that? And Oscar said, I'm trying.
so you remember my part better than I do.
I loved that. That was a fun. I was young. I must have been, 10 years old?
I don't know.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, that was a good time. So, cast parties were good too. After the show closed, it usually ran 3 or 4 nights, and then the cast parties were fun.
We took Rachel to see her first opera. We went to Marriage of Figaro.
You did.
We were able to buy her student ticket, so we got her in for $15. Tickets were otherwise $30. So she went in. I fell asleep once and she fell asleep twice.
Oh, the Marriage of Figaro is not real.
Well, it's a comedy. It was a lot funnier than we expected. Because it's the whole thing where Figaro's makes this uncle had intentions on his young charge. Well, she didn't want to marry this old guy, so it was a comedy of how she was actually able to marry the man that she loved, who came in dressed as a music teacher. Let me close this, it's blowing. Came in dressed as a music teacher, and sent the uncle away. I can't work with you here. And then they got a chance to kiss and everything. And then he came back in dressed like a woman to take her out to the take her out shopping. And they went out and they were actually going to the justice of the peace to get married.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a rich guy. So the uncle was really mad until the rich guy said, well, you already paid her dowry, so here's a bag of gold. That should more than cover it.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? Bay Point. We haven't mentioned Bay Point at all.
I know, that's why we should, before we start talking, we should, when you do another interview, we should have a...
Set talking points ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, because that way it would be more structured.
Mm-hmm. But should we talk about Bay Point?
Sure.
Well, we had a little place in Bay Point. We started out in a tent, and the day after school let out, I had the van all loaded, and I put the kids in the car, and we would drive to Marblehead, to Bay Point, and we were right on the beach. And so all summer, the 3 kids were able to play in the sand and meet new friends. And while usually at night, people found out I played guitar, so I would go to somebody's campsite and we would sing. I remember one time I was playing Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and the Bay Point guards came and said, you guys will have to shut it down. Everybody's complaining. But I was playing really loud on the guitar, and we were singing up a storm. But the kids had a wonderful time, and then finally we got a little tiny trailer, and I worked real hard making sheets to fit these little tiny beds, and then we had our best friends Dixie Bland and her kids. They would come up in quite a bit, and then we went all the way and got I think it was about how big do you think that
It was
trailer?
a 35 footer.
A 35-foot trailer where we had a real bed and a stove and a refrigerator. And, and it was wonderful. Then we continued to see old friends in the summertime. After school was out, we would drive up there again at Bay Point and spend the summers, and then Dad would come up on the weekends. And the kids, I guess, still stay in touch with some of the people that they met at Bay Point. But we had a wonderful time, and I think it was Bob who finally, was it you that got turned on to crab meat?
Oh, yes. Crab cakes at TJ's.
Yeah, Bob, we never had crab at home, but Bob really got turned on to crab. And then and he met a sweet little girl. I think her last name was Darling, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And he fell in love with somebody named Darling, and I felt so sorry for him because I guess she had a boyfriend. But for the summer, Bob was her boyfriend.
Yeah. And do you remember Nancy Meyer, the little blonde-haired girl?
I remember a Nancy.
That was my first booby.
Oh my goodness. So I guess they had a good time.
And Steve does still stay in touch with Mark Swint, and he posts every single day to Facebook. And Steve got real worried, and he started sending out messages because it had been 3 days since anyone had heard from Mark Swint, and he finally tracked him down in the Philippines, who was bedridden with a severe parasitic infection
Oh my gosh.
and nearly died. But he's back on his feet, and he's posting again.
My
So that's
gosh.
neat that Steve was able to do that.
Yeah, Mark was I remember Mark.
Yeah.
He was a nice boy. He used to come over and talk to me when you guys were gone. I think it was when you were bitten by a spider. Wasn't it Mark that drove you to the hospital?
I think it was Dad, because he tells a story about going like 100 miles through these dark roads.
Yeah. You got to you were bitten by like a black widow or a water bug or something.
Brown recluse.
And your lips were all swollen, and we were so frightened. But the reason why we had to get a tent is that Brenda, without my permission, took the car. She said she was driving to the restaurant, but she drove. She said at 80 and 90 miles an hour back to Marion, picked up several of her friends, and brought them back to Bay Point. But then the friends started coming up on the weekend, so I finally bought a tent. And I said, you guys I can't have you all in the trailer, but you can sleep in the tent. And I said, I can't cook for everybody, but there's always bologna and bread if you get hungry. There's bologna and bread.
Oh, that was good. That was practical. A good solution.
I wasn't going to cook for all those kids.
Let's see, what other were some good ones? Let's see. I read something in my journal about taking the piano down to the basement on Forest Hill Drive.
Oh, yeah. I wanted the piano down in the basement, and Dad said it won't go. And then We called, I can't talk.
We'll get some water. Then we'll shut it off and get ready for your friend's visit. Well, this has been a fun trip down memory lane though.
So,
So the Forest Hill Drive piano.
I wanted this. You know why? Because I'm allergic to whatever pollen is out there.
Oh. That's the same allergies that I have. The orange blossoms are going, and orange blossom pollen is too big to get into your sinuses, but everything that blooms at the exact same time is small, and that's
Yeah.
what gets us.
It might be what's in my eyes too.
Oh yeah, I get it in my eyes.
So anyway, I called the movers and I said, Dad said it won't go down. I says, yes, it will. And I called the movers and they says, no, there's no way. I said, I'll pay you if you'll just try. And they says, no, it won't go. And I said, I'll double the fee if you make that piano go down to the basement. So they started inching it a little by little, and they scraped a little bit, but the piano went down, and Dad said, well, I'll be damned. But it stayed there. We weren't going to bring, when we moved, we just left it.
It's probably there to this day.
Yeah.
Let's see. So on the Forest Hill Drive, I've stayed in touch with a lot of those friends, and an amazing number. Joe Clark's gone, Bruce Schlafer, Kevin Rackay. There were a couple others that are gone.
Oh, yeah. We're back to Forest Hill Drive.
Yeah.
Do you remember across the street was an opera singer? He was gone sometime. He was Chinese, but he was an opera singer.
The Bafflers.
Yeah. And one time at that time Dad was making so much money, I can't believe it, but we ordered 2 trees, full-grown trees, to be delivered for our front yard. And the Balfours were very sensitive to nature, and they called us to thank us for the beautiful trees that they could see out their front window every day.
How nice.
And that, it was nice. It made me feel good. But we had 2 beautiful trees in our front yard, didn't we?
Yeah.
I guess one got struck by lightning after we left.
So the last time I went back to Marion, I went to where Vernon Elementary School is. And on Arbor Day in about 3rd grade, we planted these little trees like this, went back, and today they're this big around.
Oh my goodness.
It was fun. It was fun to see and to know their history.
Yeah.
And then on Facebook, remember I lived over Babbage's? I met someone named Babbage on Facebook that was the granddaughter of Mr. Babbage.
Oh my.
So we shared stories.
Oh really? You met her?
Well, just on Facebook.
On Facebook.
We wrote it twice and that was it. Didn't hear anything more.
How interesting.
And I heard I sent a Facebook message to Diana Fitch, my very, very, very first girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
And because she's had cancer, I think I told you. And she's been undergoing 4 years of chemotherapy. I said, Diana, I haven't heard anything from you in a month or 2. Said, I just wanted to see if everything's okay.
Hi.
And her husband wrote back and said, "No, I'm sorry, she died 4 months ago."
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry.
So
Your friend is gone. Oh dear.
but
It's hard to lose
She-
friends.
she had a husband that loved her dearly, so that's good.
You're very sensitive. And I talk about you. I says, Bob will cry at a Lassie movie. And I said, he's just like his dad.
that okay? Or is that used?
No, this one, it was, no,
I just need for my tears.
this one is
Okay.
the rolled up ones are
Okay.
fresh.
Okay. Yeah, Dad and I were softies.
Yeah, Dad would, and for some reason, Dad was very sensitive about the Germans in Auschwitz and what happened there. And he would cry the hardest if he would watch the History Channel about what happened to the people at Auschwitz. And I think it was because we have pictures of German relatives. And Dad, I don't know why, but he was super sensitive to that.
Well, his research in Germany, we have Jewish history, I think. The Gugelheimers.
When he was in Germany, he tried to research and to try to find some relatives, but he said some of those records were destroyed.
It's too bad.
But I guess the best memories is I was very much in love with my husband since the 10th grade. And we had 3 beautiful children. And it seemed like our life mostly revolved around being with the kids and encouraging their talents. That was the fun part of our life. And then the exciting part of so many years in Ohio of finally making the big move to Arizona, and then having all our kids come out one by one. And finally they were all here, and they all seemed happy. Steve is kind of a gypsy, and he decided he was gonna leave. But I just talked to him last week and he thinks he's gonna come back. So I don't know if he will or not. He's in Wyoming driving a bus right now, school bus, and he loves his kids on the bus. But he thinks he might come back to Ohio. I guess he's heard that work-wise it's kind of booming here. Construction is,
In Arizona or Ohio?
I mean in Arizona. Construction needs help. So I don't know what he's gonna do. Maybe he'll drive another bus. I hope he comes back.
So another bit of news, I don't think you heard this because I only heard it a day and a half or 2 ago. Brenda's landlord showed up at their door, knocked on the door and said he's declaring bankruptcy, and as part of the settlement he has to sell his house.
Oh,
So
God.
Brenda and Dave have 45 days to get out.
My gosh.
So I put them in touch with my guy, because Cindy and I bought our house with zero money down because it uses a government program. And Dave and Brenda would qualify for that too. And I told Steve he would too if he wants to move back here.
Hmm. Well,
So we'll see. It's a rough world out there. You do the best you can.
yeah. Is Dave working?
Dave is working full time, and he's, for a change, he's being completely incredible. He's walking a lot. He drives a truck, loads it up with 5-gallon buckets all the way, loads a truck, drives it to the store, unloads the buckets, carries them in. So his arms, after 8 hours of doing this, I touched his arms, are like steel. And his calves, I didn't touch his calf, that was a little too close, but he said his calves are tough, or in shape too. So he's working. I'm not sure what Brenda's doing, if anything. Do you know?
No. I think she was going through some depression, so maybe with him working, that she's able. I'm hoping she's just able to rest and stay home. She loves to stay home and clean her house. She's just like her mom. Everything's got to be in order. Never is, but you always work at it.
Yeah.
So I hope she can stay home. And she called me on my birthday, and I was surprised to hear I have a new grandchild.
Oh, she called you.
Uh-huh.
Good. I tried to call you 3 times actually. I called you the first time the line was busy. Second time I left a message. I tried to call you again and the line was busy. So.
Do you realize how many friends I have?
No, I do. And that's why I said, fine, I'll just see her Saturday.
I mean, don't you? I hope you're happy that I don't have to be alone.
Oh my God. I am thrilled, Mom. Because I feel a little guilty not calling you every day. But I think you realize kids have their busy lives too.
Yeah, we do.
And me now starting not yet another business.
Uh-huh.
But I think this is a good idea. I did my research and there's really not companies doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to get it so
Yeah.
you don't have to get up?
Yeah. Oh, I'll get up anyway.
Okay.
I have to give her a hug.
Okay. Hi there.
Hi.
Hey.
Come on.
Hi.
I'm Robert. I'm her oldest son.
Oh, well, nice to meet you,
too.
Robert.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
Hi, how are you? What's he doing? Taking a movie picture
Well,
of you?
he's going to explain it to you, and it's got.
Yeah, let me get one of my business cards here.
You
So,
know what? I got my dad out of the car. And I go,
Oh, bring him in.
I can't.
He wanted to see the house.
so actually, maybe I could do just a little, because right now especially since I'm set up, I'm taking videos of people telling their story, their life story about their parents, about their childhood.
Oh,
I'm
really?
mixing it down and putting it on DVD.
Hmm.
So if he wants to come in and talk for just a little bit, I'll send
I
you.
don't think he does. He's
Doesn't he?
not feeling good.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get his taxes done, and
He's
I'm not feeling
95,
good today.
95 years old.
95.
That's what I mean. This is important to get them
Yeah.
recorded while you have a chance. But anyway, keep this.
Okay, so you do this.
Uh-huh. And that's what this is here. So I set up 2 cameras. We've been talking for
We're going-
2.5 hours.
Oh,
We're going
my.
through birth,
Oh, my.
childhood, and
Ah.
relatives.
Well, that's interesting.
I
Yeah.
love this stuff.
Okay, put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Cranberry jelly.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
the gal that took me to Pompous.
Pocos is one of our favorites too.
Isn't it awful?
Awful? Oh, because you eat so much?
Because it's addicting.
Yes. We just moved to the area, so we live at 75th and 79th and Bethany Home Road.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is that the Poco's you go to, the one in that area? Or is there one around here?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
on
it
Bell.
is. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I would stay a little bit longer, but my dad's out there. He said he's not feeling good, and I got to run into the store. He said, my brain's a fog today, and I said, well, join the club. So,
Oh, I love you.
yeah, I love you too.
Well, thank you for. We were just talking about friends. She said,
Aw.
I hope you don't mind that I have so many friends. I said, my God, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Loretta, you take care of yourself, okay?
Okay,
And
honey.
don't forget your Jell-O.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
She's sweet.
She takes such good care of her dad. Look here, Bob, here's the, you know what this is, don't you?
There's pineapples and strawberries. Is that it?
Yeah,
And kale and cantaloupe.
yeah,
Oh my.
this is, this,
Carrot cake. Holy
Uh-huh.
cow.
and this was what's left of a whole cake.
Good.
And I'll show you this. Oh, you saw this one?
Oh yeah. This
Did you see this?
story. See, I thought it was called something else though. But- Oh, I did see this. Have you started eating it?
Right.
Little bits. You hadn't opened it last time I was here.
No, I opened it. Now my friends come in, they walk right past my chair and I said, you guys, I'm here. We said, we know, we're here.
Oh.
And so I got my cards.
No, I'm glad you have this. I figure for every friend you have, it's going to add a year to your life.
Yeah, but you know what we end up doing? Talking about our kids.
Oh, that's okay.
And I'm not the only one. I says, my kids are so busy, they never come over. Everybody says the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, my kids did call me.
Oh.
That's, and we all know that our kids have their own life.
Yeah. Well, this was fun.
So, yeah, I see what you're doing.
So I figure especially around Christmas time, I think this would make a great present to give to your kids and grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
we'll see. I already own the equipment, so the only investment we have is $40 for the business cards.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking of advertising in the newspaper, maybe the Sun Daily News. Gonna put cards like at my barber shop and the pizza shop and promise the owners, the store owners, $10 kickback on each job if they, because that's why it says on the card $20 discount with this card. And then, so they're gonna give me the card. It'll say GP for Grande Pizza, and then I can send Steve a check for $10.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll get it too.
So there's so many stories that we didn't even have time for.
Mm-mm.
That's why you need.
Yeah, that's a grand idea.
Yeah, you need that. When you say, well, tell me about Little Theater. Well, I didn't remember Little Theater.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the piano story. We should have talked about how Dad got through Fred Wagonalls and started his own business.
Oh,
That was a biggie.
yeah.
And
All sport, Sigonette.
yeah, could remember stories of Tampa, Florida. Your first cousin, this was Dad's, and I just figured it out when I talked to Rita Hunter. Remember?
I remember
That was Dad's brother's daughter. She was still alive.
Which brother?
Julius, but they called him Dude.
Oh yeah.
And Dude was the one that was so mean to me, to Dad. Made him go to work in the mines. And she owned a very good business in Tampa, Florida, called Hunter Farms. I talked to her 3 years ago. She had some kind of disease, Addison's disease or something like that. And that's why my dad and Mom hitchhiked when they were married. Remember, they hitchhiked to Tampa, Florida. That's because Dude was already there. And in that truck that went to Tarpon Springs to pick up the sponges, that was Dude's truck. I didn't know that till I finally put it together. Because Dad went with him, and they picked up, the Cubans could dive. They learned from a very small age. I don't know if you know this. They were taught to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the water in around the ocean to get the good big sponges. So they had huge lungs from childhood up. They were taught to dive. And Dad and I think it was Dude would go down and load up the truck with sponges and take them someplace. And they used to let Vic and I ride in back of the truck on the way down. And Dad would always buy us a bottle of Coke and a box of Cracker Jacks. That was living.
Well, I remember you used to put peanuts in your Coke, huh? Later on, that was a fad.
No, I don't remember that.
Okay.
But yeah, Coke, a bottle of Coke, not a can. No such thing as a can. A bottle of Coke and Cracker Jacks. There's always some ring or something.
The prize, the valuable prize.
Yes. But see, that should be on there, Dude. And Rita Hunter of Hunter Farms. And it would be kind of fun to put John Pemberton on there, the druggist who invented Coca-Cola.
And there's another Pemberton. I forget his name, but I found him on the internet.
He was a colonel in in the army.
I forget which side.
I don't know.
But yeah, and it might have been George. I don't know.
And then I used to spend the summers with Ella and my Aunt Ella and my Dad's two sisters. And I learned that Dad had two other sisters. From that, if you ever want that name, she found Dad had two other sisters named Perlea. One was Perlea, and there was another sister. And see, they were never mentioned by anybody. And we think that One of them married a black man.
Is this from a second wife?
No,
Someone had a wife in another town.
that was my dad. And her name was Nancy Moran, Moran. And he was never divorced from Nancy Moran. That's what happened when Mom went to get her Social Security.
Okay. Oh no. So she was denied.
Well, until they found out that she was it was called, you have to live with somebody
Common law.
for so many years. But no, she was not denied. She got her Social Security.
Good.
But when she went to get it, well, he was never divorced from Nancy Moran. But then when I went to the funeral home to see that after Dad was laid out in the casket, and we all went there to see him for the first time, there was another family standing around there with a woman and some kids standing around crying at my dad's casket. And then they left really quick. So there is another family. We know that, but we don't know who it was.
All you know is Nancy Moran.
It wasn't,
No.
we don't think it was Nancy Moran, but because the kids were young. I mean, we were grown and married, but there was little ones.
Maybe he had 3.
This isn't on, is it?
Huh? No, this won't be on.
Because in all this fuss and the way my dad was, and I talked to my sisters, nobody was ever sexually molested in our family.
Yeah.
Nobody.
That's good.
Yeah. Because people think, that with some of the things that happened in our family, but it didn't happen in our family.
Mm-mm.
Nothing like that ever happened.
Well, taking a switch to a child or beating a child or whatever is completely different. It's a different psyche than a sexual molester.
Well, yeah.
So, yes, there's one type of abuse, but it doesn't always mean that it was the other. And that's good because the welts will heal, the other
welts will
won't.
heal, but a broken psyche would not heal.
No.
Well,
And as far as I know, Steve, Brenda, and I were never molested or anything. The closest I came was stinking John Murray. And I think that I told you this story. Remember he lived in the trailer?
yeah,
And he had the one-way mirror into the bathroom.
Yeah.
He got off taking pictures of women using his toilet. He had a camera opposite the John so he could take pictures of women urinating.
I never knew that.
And he took me in there one time and he explained what it was and he says, it's really exciting. I'm really hard right now. Do you want to feel it? And I said, no thanks, I don't. I said, I think I'm done with this, and I got out.
Good for
But
you.
that could have gone really badly. Because I was only 13. Well, I was playing music, so I must have been about 14 or 15.
Steve told me once that Mike Giles molested him.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Interesting. If it was real early, that could have been just kids playing games. If it was later, because me, Steve, and Weird Wayne touched each other.
Oh, yeah.
But
kids.
that was at 8 and 10 years old.
Yeah, well, yeah, we did play games too with the Darnells. I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Yeah.
But that's all it went.
Oh, me and
then we get going and then stop playing. It never went on.
Yeah. Me and Mary Klaus touch pee-pees. And I tell Cindy, I'm sure that's why she's gay. I spoiled her for men.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Life is wonderful, isn't it?
It is.
Some days it's...
I went on a rant. I had 3 drinks last night. I'm trying to cut down, so 3 drinks for me is cutting down. But I got on a rant because Steve says, wah, and Brenda lost her house and she's looking for a house instead. Steve said, just go into a mobile home. Said, don't waste your money on this. Said, who cares if people think you're white trailer trash and everything. And I went on a rant. I said, Steve, you and Brenda have probably 30 to 50 years left of your life. I said, but realistically, I could have 1 year to live, or 3, or 5. I said, there's no way to know. If they miss a cancer, I'm dead. And I said, do you think that I wouldn't give you every single ounce of my money if I could have another 30 years? So quit your bitching, change your life, change it to something that makes you happy, and get on with it. He said, you don't understand. I said, no, I don't.
Did he tell you we had a fuss?
Steve?
Yeah.
No. On money? Or other?
Well,
With Steve, it's almost always money.
yeah, it's usually money. And then he went on a rant about you
Oh.
and working. I said, Steve, as he says, I can't find a job. I said, Steve, I didn't even weigh 100 pounds. I had no home. I had nothing to eat, but I found work.
Mm-hmm.
And don't tell me you can't find work if it's washing somebody's windows.
Yeah.
And then I said, remember I offered you $100 if you'd wash my windows? Take out the screens, $100. It'll only take you half an hour.
And you didn't offer me because you knew I'd take it.
And he didn't do it.
No. Well, I'm a firm believer, if you can't find a job, make your own. Both Cindy and I now realize the discrimination that is illegal but goes on. People don't want to hire old guys. I have been doing web design, let's see, 81, 83, 87, 90, for 32 years. I've been designing web pages for 32 years. And with 32 years experience, I can't get a job maintaining a web page because they want someone young.
Oh, no.
And so, who is it? Church of the Palms, right here in Sun City. I've been their webmaster for 8 years, and about the same time, even after 32 years, I still got hacked by the Chinese. So they decided to go to a professional company. So you've probably heard of GoDaddy, right?
Yes.
They're a web design company based out of Scottsdale. Very large company, has 1,000 people working for them. They said, we're going to transfer our website from you to them. I said, okay, here are all the files you need. Here are the passwords. Here's even the process. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. If they don't do this, your website's going to fail in about 28 days. Oh, it's okay. Okay, thank you very much, but I think they have it under control. They're a professional. Well, their website's now been down for 3 weeks because the professionals fucked it up. And I told them what to do. I could have had it transferred to their very own server in about 3 days for half the cost. But they're going with the professionals. And that's okay. That's the way the world is. You know, I don't like it. I think age discrimination is wrong, but it's reality, so I make my own business. Steve could do that. There's so much he could do.
So much he could do.
Before I let suncityservices.com expire, I offered to set him up a web page and everything needed to keep him busy, changing light bulbs for people, picking grapefruit from their trees, cleaning their windows. I told Steve, I said, you could be busy 6 days out of the week and making not a lot of money, but you could make decent money and it would be tax free. So really, if you make $1,000, it's worth $2,000 because it's tax free. Oh, our tax hit this year. Our taxes are going to be $40,000.
You have to pay?
We have to pay the government $40,000, between 30 and 40.
Oh, no, Bob.
Because in order to qualify for this house, we had to show an income. I said, well, we have $600,000 in the bank. And they said, well, it doesn't matter how much money you have. For this program, you need to show an income. So we've been taking money out of our IRA to the tune of $72,000 a year. And we had to do this for 6 months. So we took out all this money. About that time, I had another cancer surgery, so we had to take more money out. So we've had to take about $100,000 out of our IRA, our deferred comp. That's all taxable now.
Huh.
So
You didn't have to claim that 20,000, did you?
no, we did not.
Because
claim
that's
that.
one reason why Dad and I did what we did.
No, and no, we didn't. We didn't even declare that. We didn't even put it in the bank. We're keeping it there, and instead of taking money out of our IRAs, we're using that little bits at a time.
I know you talk to Brenda once in a while. You say you don't.
No,
but you do.
Well, I tell you when I do. I tell you when I don't.
Yeah. She had hers hid in the. She never did call and thank me for it. Did you ever find out why?
No. She told me to tell you thank you, but then I did.
So anyway, she had it hid in the closet. And Steve the other day says, Brenda, don't do that. If the house burns down or one of the grandkids happen to be nose around in your closet, it'll disappear. He said, and I never thought about it. He said, take the money, wrap it in plastic, put it in a glass jar, seal it really tight, and bury it outside.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Makes sense.
As long as they don't forget where it's buried.
Yeah, you should, yeah.
But they wouldn't. Ours, we have a fireproof safe back from when I worked at Actuate. We kept a lot of money at the house then, and the gold and the silver and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So we invested in a safe, so that's what we use.
That's good.
But yeah, burying it in a jar is fine. And what I heard even better is you get like a 4-inch, you know these PVC pipes you can get at Home Depot?
Yeah.
They're white and they're this big around. Is you, on the bottom, you put a cap on it so that water can't seep in. You bury it, leaving this much out of the ground, and then you put a cap on so it looks like a sewage clean out. And you put your money in there.
Wow.
So that way, if you need $1,000, you can reach in, take it out, and get to your money.
That's a good
So,
idea too.
But the only bad thing about that is it is visible. So who knows? But just another different way.
So, sort of keep me in touch about if Brenda and Dave can get a house.
I will. Well, you say I don't tell you when I talk with them. I don't talk with them a lot, but I did frequently. And I said, oh, by the way, they're losing their house. So I tell you when I talk to her.
Yeah.
I just don't talk to her a lot.
Okay.
But no, I put her in touch with my mortgage guy. He's a mortgage broker, and he can set her up with this government program. But he's not Mormon, so I don't know if they can do business with him or not. It's a very strict government program, and only about 1 out of 10 realtors qualifies for it. But there's millions of dollars in federal money out there.
Wow.
It's left over from the housing bust.
Mm-hmm.
And literally they gave us $17,000 for the down payment on our house.
Wow.
I took it.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess Wells Fargo, Steve got some money from Wells Fargo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I hadn't heard that. From a class action suit?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But anyway, what I'm thinking is there's another about 50 or 60,000 left in the bank.
60, should be about 40, 45.
45 or 50. Okay. But sort of keep me in touch with what's going on.
Okay.
If Dave is working, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
But I was not going to give him
Money to sit on his ass.
sit on
Oh,
his.
and Brenda's singing in the band again.
Brenda is?
Yeah. Cindy and I went to their gig. They had a gig that started at 4 o'clock. So we can't go to the night ones, but we went to the dinner gig and we heard her, and she's not very good, but Dad always told us sex sells. And Brenda's up there and she's singing and she's pretty, and they asked her back. So she did well enough for that.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, they're both playing in the band now. But yeah, I'll let you know what I hear.
And, if it's just a matter of a few thousand, I can help.
Okay. And Steve, Brenda, and I did talk, and I told them about the fact that, I told you they need it right now more than we do. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to give it all to them, I said, I'm going to have no problem with that, but after Mom dies, I'm going to make a little note of it. I want my share of that, because that's fair.
It's fair.
And they said, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So if they need it more, I don't have a problem in you giving it to them. And if you give it to them as a gift, well, that's different.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Steve was having trouble with his heart.
Really?
He thought he was.
Oh, anxiety maybe?
I don't know what it was. And anyway, he wouldn't go for a heart exam. And I said, just for my sake, this is not your money.
Mm-hmm.
But I sent him $5,000.
For a full test.
And I says, and you keep it in the bank, and if you ever have that fibrillation problem again, you go.
Good. Good.
So he's got 5,000 rot that's supposed to, it's not really his, but it's in his bank.
Hopefully it'll stay there.
And then again, he had trouble with his teeth and he wasn't gonna go. And I said, well, then use the 5,000 for your teeth.
So let me ask you a question about that. So Cindy and I go in for cleaning every 6 months, and it costs about $86 each. It's not too much. I went in and they said, you're on the verge of periodontal disease, so we need to do a deep cleaning. And it was $200. So we went in 6 months later. Nope, still some periodontal disease left. It's another $200. So they set up a third periodontal cleaning, and they said, no, this is the last one. Is that a scam? Are they scamming me?
I always wonder too, because I just went yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They said the same thing.
Yeah.
And they took x-rays, and I said, well, I just had x-rays last year, and I said, nothing hurts. Oh, but we have to take x-rays.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or do you just pay it because that's the
'Cause
cost
it's-
of living in today's world?
Yeah. It's the cost of living in this scammy world.
That's what Cindy said. I'll tell you the one time I didn't listen, we used to go to this doctor in Scottsdale that was phenomenal, and we had been going to him for 20 years. But the cleanings were $150, and it was far away, and he had a motorcycle wreck, and he's only working half days, and he's talking about retiring, so we found somewhere else. But he does wonderful, wonderful surgery. He was in Phoenix Magazine as one of the best dentists in the valley. I went to a dentist's office and they said, "Oh, this is the worst work I've ever seen. We're going to have to take off 2 of these caps and it looks like you're going to need a root canal." I said, and we left. I didn't pay him, and I got a bill and I explained the situation, and I said, "You want to take me to court? I'll make an issue of this. You want to, or to a collection agency?" I said, "You were clearly trying to scam me, and I'm not going to pay." And they didn't bill me more, but they were in the news for similar practices. They've closed the dentist office down.
Who was it?
It's something Smiles, Forever Smiles, or something in downtown Phoenix.
Because I'm going to a new one called Burns, and they have a surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
They're a brand new building up here on the 100 on Delaware Boulevard.
Mm-hmm. I think for the most part, dentists are on the level. That's why it surprised me. 3 periodontal cleanings, because Dad was always on the verge of periodontal disease, but he kept his teeth right up to the end.
Yeah. I know.
So I'm never going to have perfect teeth. Period.
No, and I told them, those, you and I both have those bones and the gums are growing.
Yeah, like this.
Uh-huh.
Mine are about this close right now.
Yeah, mine, they finally met.
Yeah.
I
let me
can't.
see. Yeah, I have the same thing.
And they said it is genetic.
Yeah, that's what you said.
They just said that yesterday.
And the only way to fix it is surgery.
Yeah, and I said, oh no.
No, it's because it's going to be pretty major surgery.
Yeah.
Now, in my case,
We're not gonna live that long.
For me,
Well, for me.
no. But put your finger in the base of my mouth.
Oh yeah. That's just the way mine feels.
Yeah.
Only it's now they're even closer together.
Yeah, and they grow. They continue to grow. And mine will too.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
yours are a little closer than mine.
And there's a little flap of skin down there
Mm-hmm.
that bothers me.
I play with it.
Uh-huh. She had a name for it.
Oh. So, let me ask you a question. First of all, did you have breakfast?
No.
Okay, so you're probably getting hungry. This has been a pretty emotional week. You were tired when I got here. We spent 2 or 3 hours talking. Do you want me to just fix you something on the stove? Go out and bring back some KFC, or do you want to go to Nino's? What are you up for?
I'd like to go to Nino's.
Let's go.
Okay.
I can pack all this up when I come back.